What is good, guys? Fifth episode, going from $80,000 in payouts in 2026 to 150k. So currently we are at 92.8k. Next week it's looking like we will get over that 100k mark. It's looking like it's going to be quite a big week. I only need 1 or 2 winning days and I can take some pretty big payouts. So let's jump into what trades we're taking this week. Just to catch you guys up, so I usually trade New York AM session, where I've got some pretty big buffers on my Lucid accounts. I have some with like 10k, 2 with 7k, I think I've got maybe 2 with 5k. Can't remember off the top of my head, but they have some pretty big balances. So I'm just trying to rinse the balances down a little bit and maybe take them down to about 4k each. So I'm just trying to meet $150 winning days and take the payouts. So if I haven't taken a trade in New York AM, which I didn't take at all this week, there were no good setups for me. I am not forcing a trade in PM session, but if I see a trade that is my model, I am going to take it, going for a 1-to-1 with literally 150 risk times my 5 Lucid accounts. Before we get into the trades, let me show you the payout I took with proof. So here's the $4,000 payout I took with Lucid this week. I've also just got 5 accounts with Tradeify. They have a 40% consistency on the eval, but once you pass, which I have passed 5 accounts, there is no consistency at all. There are literally no rules on these accounts. So I'm going to be risking quite heavy on these. I'll probably risk 1,000 per trade and we'll see where we are. So this week I took 3 trades. On Monday there were no trades to take at all, so I won't recap Monday. So let's start with Tuesday. So on Tuesday there was actually a really clean setup. I didn't end up taking this because I wasn't on the charts. If I was, this is exactly what I would have taken. However, I was busy on Tuesday and I was out with friends and family, so I couldn't be on the charts. However, we swept a low inside of a fair value gap, really good V-shaped reaction off of it, inverse the highest time frame IFEG to the upside, break even at the swing high here, and as I said, I would have just targeted a 1-to-1 for the $150 winning day. If I wasn't targeting a 1-to-1, I probably would have gone for just over a 1-to-1 at these swing highs over here. So a really, really good trade on Tuesday, but as I said, unfortunately, I didn't take it. So on Wednesday, we had the CPI news data, and in AM session, I was looking for a short down to this data low. We never really got anything. There was a 15-minute trade that I took to the downside, which I'll show you now. So this was the only trade I took, and this was a break-even trade. So it was a 15-minute IFEG to the downside. Now, I don't usually like to take a 15-minute trade, but there was a 5-minute IFEG, but at the time of the 5-minute, we were in the middle of this 15-minute IFEG. So I waited for the 15-minute sort of as confirmation after the 5-minute. So the entry really was the 5-minute, but the 15-minute was the confirmation to make sure we'd inversed all the time frames. So I was going for this data low. I did get break even. There wasn't a great break even point on this trade, but we did start to come down. We left this wick here. So when we then broke back below that, I moved my stop loss to break even. And this was a break-even trade. So as I got break-even on that trade, obviously I'm looking for a trade in PM session. I was still bearish down to the data low, so we came up, we swept this high inside of a fair value gap, and I'm open to taking a lower time frame trade when we have a good draw on liquidity or bias. So I literally took this for a winning day, and now I was able to request this $4,000 payout. Every single trade that I take always has a high or low in a fair value gap, although I'm trying to sort of force winning days in a way. I'm still taking my model just in PM session if there is no trade in the AM session. On Thursday, I was extremely bullish on the day. There was a possible trade where we swept some 5-minute lows in a fair value gap just here, and there was a 15-second IFEG. I only trade on the 1 to 5 minute time frame, so I did not take any entry here. However, due to swing off open, 5-minute low in a fair value gap, displacement to the upside, this was an extremely, extremely good trade if you did manage to get an entry, but however, I did not. So moving on to later in the session, I was still very bullish on the day, so I'm happy to take a lower time frame trade. We came down and swept this 1-minute low inside of a fair value gap. We didn't quite get the inverse here, but we did have a fair value gap. We got the inverse a little bit higher up, so I literally just went for a 1-to-1 with the highs with my stop loss at the bodies and took this again for an $150 winning day. And it's weird because AM session in August has been really slow for me. I didn't take any trades at all this week, but PM session has been delivering really, really cleanly. So this is maybe something I need to look at just for the $150 winning days. But again, a super clean trade, and you'll see that every trade I take has a very similar pattern. So low in a fair value gap, IFEG in the other direction, TP at some sort of liquidity. If the IFEG was higher up, for example, I would have used this swing high as my break even, and I would have just gone for a 1-to-1 like so. So now we have secured 2 winning days. Another win on Friday. So that was 3 for 3 this week. I took 3 trades, 3 wins, and that is absolutely, it's a really, really good week in PM session, and I never trade PM session. It's just not something I do. I was just doing this for the winning days, and imagine I risked my normal $500 per account. This would be an extremely, extremely good week, but sadly I did not. So this was the trade I took. We had a fair value gap here. We made a low resting inside of it. We swept the liquidity while still respecting the fair value gap that the liquidity is inside of, which is a key part of this model. We then had an IFEG back to the upside, really, really good V shape. Like we swept it, had that sort of 3 candle pattern where we've reversed, and then we had that IFG to the upside with a really, really good displacement. I just went for a 1-to-1 here. If I wasn't going for the $150 winning days, maybe I would have gone a little bit higher, but this is over a 2-to-1. So in hindsight, I probably would have just gone for a 1-to-1 anyway. I don't like to go for too big a risk to reward. If it's over a 2-to-1, I usually won't go for it. Unless there's some sort of liquidity lower, I'll target that. If not, I will just go for a 1-to-1. So a really, really good week trading, and every trade was in PM session, which, as I said, I don't normally do. But how I see it is, I could take a loss every day of this week for $150, but next week I could take a win every single day of the week. But it doesn't matter. If I have a 50% win rate, even if I win one, lose one, win one, lose one, it doesn't matter, because I'm just trying to meet the winning days. If I take a loss, I'm not going to double up and go for 300 risks to try and make a winning day. Like, you know, if you take an $150 winning day, take it. If you take a loss, I leave and I'm done for the day. So this week was actually really good, and there were no losses, but that's how I'm kind of seeing it. Even if I had a 50% win rate, which is very achievable with a 1-to-1, even if you're not taking that good trades, you could probably have a 50% win rate and you're just meeting the winning days and getting paid. I've spent so much time building up these buffers and building them up. I'm probably going to get moved to live on Lucid at some point, so for me, I just want to rinse these buffers down before it happens. I don't want to have loads of money sitting in these accounts that I know could have been in my bank account and wasn't, because I was stupid and tried to build too big of a buffer and then just get moved to live. That's it from me, guys. 3 trades this week, 3 wins. So every single week I will be posting one of these on the weekend, going to 150k, and we are going to get there this year. Thank you guys for watching. Leave a comment and leave a like.